Hi guys, welcome back to Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about two books. So I basically had a mystery week. I wasn't feeling very well, getting over a pretty bad cold, and then I had a food allergy reaction. So this week I don't know, I was a little tired of romance, so I wanted to kind of reset with just a cozy mystery week. So that's what this week was. I have like amateur sleuth mystery and then a cozy mystery. So the first book I'm going to chat about is We Solve Murders. We Solve Murders book 1 by Richard Osman, and came out this year in 2000. Oops, sorry about that. In 2024, and it's 381 pages. So if I feel a little low energy this week, I'm chugging, I'm chugging along, guys. I'm trying to keep going, I promise. Ooh, okay. So I never read his Thursday Murders Club. I really wanted to, but they're never in the thrift stores. I guess that's just a sign how much people love them. So I wanted to like jump on his new series. I like Richard Osman. I enjoy the I liked him on Taskmaster like a lot. What was another one? Would I Lie to You? I think he was on a British shows. I really enjoy him, and I have to say the writing suited him perfectly. So this, if you guys don't know, when I start a book, it starts at 5 stars. I guess I'm just optimistic, and then as the book goes on, whether they stay at 5 stars or stars get taken away, right? And usually I read romance, and one of the 5-star criteria is if I would reread it, right? So with mysteries, I don't really reread a lot of mysteries. So for mystery 5 stars, I think my criteria is going to be, again, start with 5 stars and gets taken away if I don't like something. If the mystery makes sense, if there was clues, confrontation on the page, please, thank you very much. But also if I would recommend it. I think that's the biggest thing for me across different genres for 5 stars. And while I was reading it, I literally recommended it to 4 different people. It's like 4 different people. 4. Yeah, you could tell I'm not doing so good today, guys. I'm trying. And like, my face is still swollen, and I put I usually don't do, I like semi coverage foundation, but today because there's hives all over my face. Oh man, did I apply and apply. Anyway, is this too much information? It might be. Anyway, so this was definitely 5 stars to me. I really had fun. I don't want to get too into it because it's a brand new mystery book. I will say the writing style, very understated, very like almost a gentle writing style, but there's like an underline of humor, dry humor that I really enjoyed. You get a lot of POVs, and the chapters are very short, right? So by page 200, I was on like chapter 60. I was like, ooh, I feel accomplished. But you get everyone's point of view. The amateur sleuths, their friends, patsies, the middle level bad guy, and then the ultimate bad guy. You get all their point of view, right? And they're in dialogue, there's a lot of people interrupting or go on side tangents, and I really enjoyed that. I thought it made the people feel very realistic. Also, my family, we interrupt each other all the time. I know, bad habit, but what do you know? And I try really hard not to, but when I get more comfortable with people, I do that to them. I know it's a bad habit. I'm trying not to. But hey, if you're in my real life and I interrupt you a bunch, it's because I feel super comfortable with you. So hey, but please point it out because I don't even know that I'm doing it. Anyway, so I thought it was just that. And it did make the people feel very realistic, very full people, like they could walk off the page. But after I finished with the book, I realized there's so many clues for the different part of this ongoing mystery that happened in the side tangents and the interruptions. I was like, oh, you clever bitch. So, and I liked everybody in this book. I liked all the characters. I liked the bad guys. I liked the stool pigeons. I liked the patsies. I liked the middle betrayer bad guy. I liked all the good guys, even the weird friends of the good. Like, I liked everybody. And I was like, damn, that's really impressive to get me to like even the bad guy, right? And I will say the ultimate bad guy, um, he uses chat. They use chat GPT in such a creepy way to cover their tracks, and I was like, oh, there's another fear unlocked when it comes to AI. Great, sure. But I didn't find it difficult reading, and I did enjoy everything. There, even like a movie star, like I think he's like a B level, not an A lister, but maybe a B lister. Oh my god, he was so annoying. He was meant to be annoying, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, if maybe the author met someone like this in real life, and they're just kind of taking the piss out of him because this person was so obnoxious, and obviously such a real person, if that makes sense. Like it felt like it was based off a real person. I don't know if it was, but it felt like that, right? But in the book, the main story starts with Amy Wheeler. She's a bodyguard, and she's like part of like personal security, and she's bodyguarding a famous writer, Rosie. And I loved Rosie through the whole thing. What a character. So much fun, right? And basically through this book we're told that we're shown that Amy Wheeler is basically like the female John Wick, except not an assassin, but like a bodyguard. Because like she knocks out Steve, her father-in-law remembers the time when she knocked out a professional MMA fighter with one punch. Gets out of a close combat fight when she's not armed, but the other guy is, and he's an ex-Navy SEAL. And let me tell you, our Navy SEAls are no joke. So I was like, dang. And I like that it was shown, right? I really liked Amy's character. I liked that she was consistent, she was guarded, but like the Wheeler boys, her father-in-law Steve and her husband Adam, are kind of the only really ones that see her softer side. And then Rosie, because Rosie tags along, she's like, oh shit, this sounds so exciting, I'm coming. Coming with you guys. So she starts seeing little bits of it too, right? So Amy is framed for these murders because the head bad guy is a money launderer, right? And he's using people that are hired her security firm that she works for to keep them safe, and they've been killed, as like warnings, you know what I mean? Because there's someone in the agency that's working with this money launderer, right? So Amy's being framed for all of it, right? So she doesn't want to call her husband Adam because she doesn't want him to worry, right? So she calls her father-in-law Steve, and they have really close relationship. Is very sweet, and he's an ex police detective in England. So reluctantly he helps her, and I thought like Steve, not that he didn't like he loves Amy. He's like, she's a daughter to him, not just a daughter-in-law. Like they're very, very, very close, right? They're closer than he is to his son, right? But he's retired. He's of a certain age. I guess pensioner would be the correct term for British at this age. Like a retiree. He's kind of stuck in his ways. And as someone who has a lot of older family members, they do kind of get stuck in their way of doing things. And it kind of takes a lot to get them out of that stuck routine, even if it's like better for them. And even if they have a wonderful time getting out of that routine, they do kind of stay in that routine unless you kind of pry them out. You know what I mean? So like for me, he felt very, very realistic of someone of that age who loves Amy, but also doesn't want to leave his routine. But he does, of course he does, because this wouldn't be a book with him in it if he didn't. So he's with Amy, and they're trying to figure out who's doing this. They know who the money launderer is, but they're trying to figure out who the middle guy in her company is and why they're framing her and get proof that it wasn't her, right? And I just had a blast. I just had a blast. I had so much fun reading it. The action was fun. The mystery was a lot of fun. Amy's relationship with her husband Adam, super sweet, super solid. Like they don't have the traditional marriage because she's traveling all over the world and he's traveling all over the world for his job, but they make it work and they're devoted, And there was one scene where we're in Steve's point of view and he's talking to Adam, and like you could tell he wants to have the connection he does with Amy, with Adam, but he just doesn't know how to do it. And it's so painfully awkward that I really hope later on, like, there's more books of this series, hopefully, and later on they do form that connection, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, you know? And I will, one little spoiler, one of the hired guns to kill Amy, his name is Eddie. I loved Eddie. I loved him so much, and I'm so happy how his story got wrapped up. And I was like, oh yay, you know. So I will. That's just a little. I'm not saying what it was, but I really liked him. I liked everybody. Even like I pretty much knew who the middleman in the agency betraying them was. I still enjoyed that character a lot. And why they did it, I enjoyed it a lot. And when their story wrapped up, their guilt about it, like, I really liked that person. Like, I was like, oh, I hate that you are betraying everybody, but, like, the author did a good job of, like, why they did that, you know? So you can kind of understand even if you don't agree with it, right? I will say there's only like really one or two super subtle clues of who the identity of the money launderer is, and like really subtle. And I was like, oh man, that's really, really in there and very subtle. So I can't, at first I was going to take a point off because who the money launderer was almost seemed out of nowhere. But then rethinking all the conversations and like the areas and everything from the book, I was like, oh no, there was two clues. There was two subtle, very subtle clues in there. So I can't take it off. I can't take this star off, right? Confrontation on the page. Thank you very much. And I loved, okay, so towards the end, Steve has a conversation with the money launderer because Steve figured it out. Because Steve is the best, right? And there was one thing where the money, you know, Steve's like, well, you would do anything to protect your family, you know? And the money launderer was like, yes, but this wasn't personal, it was just business. And then Steve said something that I was like, that was so great, because that always kind of drives me nuts when a bad guy goes after other people's family and just thinks it's business, right? And Steve was like, oh, come off of it. You would do anything to protect your family. Why would you think I would do anything less for mine? And I was like, yeah, go Steve. And then he asked a question that completely ties into like the beginning of the book that I just thought was just background dialogue to like establish, quirks of the character. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like that. And the last sentence of the book, I was like, oh, super cheeky. I love it. I see what you did there. I enjoyed that. Fun, fun, fun. So, I know I'm not telling you guys anything, but like I don't want to spoil it. Like, go read it. I don't know why I'm whining, but here we are. It was a lot of fun, and it was an easy read. Like it just flowed. You know, I started reading it, and then I looked up. I was like, oh damn, it's been 3 hours. Holy moly! So I enjoyed it. I liked every single one of the characters, including the bad guy. Fantastic characterization. Even the annoying American celebrity, I was like, the writer had an experience with somebody like this. Guaranteed. That is too on the nose. Like, that's crazy, right? So, 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Now, going to the cozy mystery. Fatal Fried Rice, a Noodle Shop Mystery Book 7 by Vivien Chien. I love this series. You guys know I love this series. This was a 5 stars for me. Alana is out here. This is their 7th book. I was like, oh, because sometimes with the long series, books 6 and 7 and 8 kind of drag, but this one had a blast. So, this came out 2021 and 311 pages. So, it follows Lana, right? Our little Jessica Fletcher, Murder, She Wrote, living her best life, Lana. She decides to take a cooking class because her older sister kind of teases her how she can't cook Chinese food when she runs her family's Chinese food shop, right? So, not to be embarrassed, she takes cooking classes at the local college. And I was like, damn, I wish our local college offered that. I would sign up in a second. She's kind of embarrassed by it, so she doesn't want anybody to know. The teacher is super sweet and also super dead. Like, she... super dead, right? And, what to say? So, again, confrontation on the page, loved it. I kind of figured out who the murder was pretty early on. But again, that's because I consume a lot of mystery media. You know what I mean? It wasn't blatant or anything. And also it has to be a fine line, right? Because you don't want people to just like guess and just like be bored throughout, guess who it is and then be bored throughout the whole book, right? But you also don't want it to come out of left field with no clues, right? So I figured it out pretty early on, but I still had fun reading it and, you know, seeing if I was correct or not, you know. But that happens to me a lot, and it's not because I'm smart. It's just because I grew up on murder, she wrote, diagnosis murder. You know what I mean? This stuff I devour, right? I still enjoy that stuff. I still watch Columbo every once in a while. It's fun. I mean, the misogyny of the 70s, I could deal with that. But, you know, anyway, I just want to take a nap. Okay, let's keep going, shall we? All right. I had fun. It was 5 stars. Lana finds the dead body, and the cop, because it's a different town, like the suburbs of where she lives. So it's not her boyfriend Adam who is the detective. It's this cop that basically is like, oh, Lana did it. And I really hate this cop, and you're supposed to, but I really hate when detectives are shown on any kind of media to try to make the facts fit the story that they already have. Whereas I really appreciate detectives that are like, let the facts create the story. You know what I mean? So he has the story that Lana did it. So he's twisting all these facts to prove it. So of course Lana's like, screw that. And Lana and Megan and Kimmy are like trying to figure it out. And Adam's in there because he has his own stuff going on. But he's like worries about her and he's being supportive. And we adore Adam in this house. Thank you. But also I just realized both of the love interests for the main characters are named Adam in both books. But we're going to persevere. Because this Adam is a detective in a completely different universe. Okay. She finds the dead body. The cop basically, not the cop, because the cop was like, oh, you know, was really super nice to her, on her side, kind of knew her from the other investigations, you know, kind of in his peripheral of people he knows. He didn't think she did it, but the detective was like, no, she did it. Lana and the janitor, who just happened to have like a record, so that's why he thought the janitor did. I was like, dude, you were like so many of just the worst pieces of cops. Like, what the, you know, I read these stories to get away from real life. How dare you? So Lana is trying to investigate. And the thing that struck me about this book that I really, I don't think I showed my appreciation for in the series is all the friendships and how wonderful they are and how different they are, you know? So like Lana's friendship with Megan, best friends, ride or die, they got each other's back, they're roommates, it's great. Her friendship with Kimmy, because she's known Kimmy her whole life, Kimmy's a little bit more aggressive. Kimmy I really relate to because she also is short, chunky, and a big mouth, right? It's like oh, we're like the same. So Kimmy and Lana have known each other since childhood, but they, you know, are reconnected and they're pretty good friends, and their friendship is very different. And then Lana and Peter's the cook. He's the reason she got into detecting in the first place, because in the first book, he was the main suspect for murder. Their friendship is very different because, you know, they've known each other forever. He works at the shop. They're really close. She saved him from being thrown in prison for a murder he didn't do, you know, and their friendship is close too. So I think in this book, I really appreciate all these different friendships Lana has and how protective she is of them and how protective they are of her, you know. There is one point where Kimmy and Lana get kidnapped. Because girl, come on, like don't get in that car, but she got in that car. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. You know, she, and like, I was a little disappointed that Kimmy just seems to be bark and no bite, because if you're gonna have bark, you gotta have bite. You know what I mean? Even if it's a little one, you gotta have one. Anyway, been my experience. She kind of sacrifices herself for Kimmy to get away and call for help. Like, it's this really great scene, and, it was just so good. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, damn, this is the 7th book, and I'm still really enjoying the series. That usually like kind of gets a little tiring, you know? But this one, I think that Lana was on the line for being a murder where she hasn't been in the past. Kind of like, ooh, and this horrible cop, horrible detective wasn't doing shit. And every time Lana did something, I'm like, oh, if he catches you, you're gonna look so guilty. And then one time he caught her, and I was like, girl, you look so guilty. And even she knows, she's like, oh no, I look really guilty right now. So that Lana eventually figures out who the killer is, and at least she figured it out from the clues and not for the killer like explaining it to her, which happened in a couple of books. So I like that. I like that Lana's like learning and like growing in her detective superpowers. You know what I mean? The superpowers. I think the medication has kicked in. So that was good. Yeah, I mean, it was a great story. Again, flew by. I enjoyed myself. I needed just a cozy, quick stuff, that I just enjoyed. And I got it this week. So I'm really happy. It was a 5-star week, and I'm happy that me being sick and being in a terrible mood didn't ruin the reading experience for me, because sometimes that happens when you're a mood reader. So yeah, I had a reading wise, I had a great week. Health wise, not so much. Sometimes that just happens, right? I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.